Welcome to a special edition of In the Keep podcast. It is I, once again, the Motherload, and this is an episode that's going to mainly be about DOOMEternal. We have about 5 more days until it comes out, so I just kind of wanted to put some thoughts together and try to wrap my brain about what I think of this and what I'm expecting, and kind of celebrate with you guys, because I can't think of anything bigger to me. This is, for me, for people like us, I guess, that are tuning into this, the release of a new Doom game is on par with, this is better than Christmas. As far as I'm concerned, this is way better than Christmas. The only thing better than this would be if the Doom game came out for Christmas. And that's the only way Christmas could compete. This is going to be really fucking awesome, and I can't wait. So yeah, let's just sit down, buckle up, relax, and I want you to remember, this is not any kind of definitive. We're not going to walk away from this conversation, this one-sided just me conversation, with a definitive answer, about what's the consensus or anything. That's not what this is. This is more just an attempt for me to put my thoughts into some sort of format where they make some kind of sense. That said, the opinions that I do share are dictated down by, obviously, the drowned god Cathala. She decides everything, and she'll be the one making sure that I behave and do everything the way that she intends for the world to work. There she is now. But hey, before we get into all the good stuff, I'm going to take a few moments to say some thank yous and plug a few things. So, first of all, I want to say thank you to everybody who supports. You guys know I do this every time I get the chance on the show, but we have so many people who have really gone out of their way to support, and I think it's an important thing to kind of talk about, at least a little bit, because it is tough out there. I'm not going to lie, it is actually tough out there to get your content in front of people, and not that I had any crazy expectations about a first-person shooter podcast becoming some fantastic phenomenon, but I know what the possibilities are versus what the reality is currently. And, we've been doing this for a little while, and it's really fortunate we have this opportunity to kind of communicate directly with our audience. That's kind of the beauty of podcasting in general. So I do want to say that, first and foremost, the most important thing that you could possibly do if you want to support the show is not just the money stuff. Forget about that shit. What's really important is reviewing, liking, sharing. These are the fundamental things we can't do it without that. We cannot get in front of more people without you guys supporting it. So it doesn't cost you anything to take a couple of extra minutes, whatever podcast directory you listen to this on, whether that be YouTube or, Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio. I use Podcast Republic, whatever it is, iTunes. Just take a few extra moments if you like an episode to say hey, 5 stars, I really like that. That is a huge thing. If you see it on YouTube, if you see it post it on Twitter or just wherever, push that like button, hit that subscribe button, and share it, retweet it. It doesn't cost you. I don't get what the deal is. I don't even know why they're two separate things. It doesn't cost you anything extra to just hit the retweet button instead of the like button. On Reddit, hit the up button, upvote it. If you find this on Reddit and you do enjoy it, hit the upvote button. It's not that big a deal. And it's not like I'm begging you to do that. I'm just saying, if you want this show to, skyrocket the way that I want it to, if it really means something to you, we need that support. So, hey, if you want to, if it makes you feel good inside to do something like that, please go ahead and do so, man. We would definitely appreciate it. And then we really, really, really appreciate the people who are keeping the lights on with this deal. So, Dots, Moose, Paul, Zach, Alexander, Lashaka, Brad, Night Owl, Tones, Jeffrey, Larissa, Nabe, Steve, NVZ, Catman, Samiko, Chibi Sniper, Donkey, VJ Tension, all of these amazing, amazing people. And I'm not even naming everybody. Who else? Brand Flakes, Hadoucant, everybody. all the apostles and the high priests in the keep, every member of the keep. If you're a cultist, we love you. And I know you guys don't tune in for every single episode, but the ones that you do, great. And I'm glad you're there for the games. That's what's really important about the Discord, is playing the games together. So nothing wrong with that at all. But thank you to all these people, because what they've done is they've supported on Patreon, donated through PayPal or with their credit card, shopped through our Amazon link, bought merchandise on our Redbubble page. They've become Nitro boosters in the Discord, which is really cool because it gives us not just the emoji powers or whatever, but we actually get a higher bit rate in the voice channels, and a lot of the podcasts are recorded via Discord in a voice channel. So that gets you better audio quality. So thanks to those people. And also Twitch subscribers. We've gotten a lot of support on our Twitch channel lately, especially with all the tournaments that have been going on. As of today, we just wrapped up the Doom 2, Take the Crown Doom 2 duel tournament, which was crazy. It was such a cool and amazing collaboration between a lot of different people, and I had a great time. So congrats to the winner, Denzoa, for that. Try to get him on the show at some point, because I just really enjoyed watching him dominate, really, like as he played through the whole tournament. So that's something to look forward to. Also want to say a couple of things, just some links for you guys to go check out. If you like this show, go check out quakefans.net and make a point to, if you're up on a Saturday morning, try to get a live cast of Quake Fans Radio, or just, check it out anytime afterwards. But all the same podcast directories, whatever, quakefans.net, Quake Fans Radio. It's my boy Smango over there talking about whatever's happening in the world of arena FPS typically, or retro FPS or whatever he happens to be talking about that day. But a recent one, the Diabolical podcast, he's I think doing just a straight talk on Diabolical, and he's such a good guy with a lot of good analysis of the state of arena FPS, what makes them good, what makes them bad, what to look out for, everything. A lot of the stuff that you hear me talk about on this podcast is because I heard it from Smango. So show him some love. Also, go check out RocketJump.zone. Those guys are putting on amazing arena tournaments. They just had their first big Diabolical event, and they also do Quake Champions events, Zenodic, whatever. Just a lot of really cool stuff going on with them. If you like competition, check them out. Same thing with State of Quake. Those are, amazing guys too. Slip, Unkind, Ease 5000, just whoever's in the casting booth. It's a constantly rotating thing. You might even see me over there sometimes if we're doing a King of the Hill or something. But yeah, competition you can't beat over at State of Quake. If you're a Doom guy, which I assume you are tuning into this episode, check out the Multiplayer Doom Federation, and then also go check out the US Quake community. Both of these are amazing organizations that just constantly have something going on. Nearly every day you can find a pickup game, you can find an event to play in or something like that. So if you're into Doom, if you're into Quake, Multiplayer Doom Federation, US Quake community, much love to those guys. All right, done with all that shit. Now let's get into what you're really tuned in for, which is I'm going to share some thoughts on Doom Eternal. Now, Doom Eternal has been a long time coming. It's been really interesting to watch all the just build up towards it, and the way that people have teetered on the subject, talking about it. There was a lot of backlash. We're going to talk about Doom 2016 because I feel like that's a requisite to kind of get into where we're at with Doom Eternal. So let's just go quickly through the history here. We had id Software published Doom, blew the world into smithereens. Doom 2 continued on that same tangent. Honestly, in my opinion, I think that Doom 2, especially when it comes to deathmatch, was better than the original Doom episodes, at least. That's a matter of opinion that I'm not trying to argue with any about. I know some people prefer the level design in the first game, but hey, whatever. The point is, Doom 2 is the game that has lived on through the online multiplayer scene the most. Then, after years of doing Quake shit, Carmack and the boys created Doom 3. That was more of a survival horror game than it was a Doom game, but nevertheless, an amazing, amazing gaming experience, and I had a fantastic time playing it. I'm sure we can all agree on that, and if we don't, also okay. And then nothing for a long time. 2016, Doom 2016 hits the floor. It's just called Doom for anyone who hasn't actually played it, which I assume you have if you're into this. But hey, if you're just joining us in the Doom community, hey, we welcome you. Glad to have you. But Doom 2016 was, in my opinion, amazing. Like, still is. I'm actually replaying through it right now one last time just to get it out of my system before DOOMEternal hits. And you can't beat the system of like killing monsters in different ways to keep up your inventory. I even like the upgrading stuff. I like being able to kind of tweak your character to kind of play the game the way that you feel like you can play it. It makes it such a fantastic player experience all the way around. The graphics are mind-blowing. The platforming even is really cool. The double jump mechanic. Everybody digs this stuff from what I can tell. The only complaint that I would ever have, two complaints really about Doom 2016 are, first of all, it gets a little wrapped up in the lore. Like, it's not that bad, but I really don't like waiting for a cutscene type situation. There's no real cutscenes. It's sort of like Half-Life where you can still move around while the talking is going on. But you can't do anything, and a lot of times it locks you in a room and you're just sitting there held prisoner by the game. And I don't think that most Doom people are really into that. And then the other complaint was that the movement is just kind of slow. And it's a fast-paced game, but comparing it to Doom 2, the movement is pretty freaking slow. So that's another thing. But otherwise, I think the combat's fantastic. I think that even if you pay attention to the story, which you don't have to, but if you do, it's really neat. The whole deal. I like the changing it to the Doom Slayer, making this sort of mythos around it. I like lore. It's really interesting. But coming off of that game, that sets a huge bar for these guys to hit. So we're talking, the id team over working with Bethesda. This is ran by Marty Stratton and I believe Hugo Martin. His title is the creative director of the game. Whatever the case, these are the guys that are overseeing what will become Doom Eternal and what we're all going to be playing in 5 days' time, or whenever you pick this up. If you're listening to this after the fact, you're probably just going to be like, wow, Motherload was wrong about it. And I'm kidding. But it is what it is, dude. So anyway, these guys are working on this game and they have such a high bar to hit. They've just set it way above. And we started to, over the past few months, like late last year, we were expecting the game and then they delayed it and everything. It's just a lot of crap. And there's a lot of speculation that can go on here. Like, why did they delay it? Obviously, they want us to. I would rather wait and get the game that I wanted than I would them publish something because they had to hit the deadline and it come out and be shit or have bugs or not be a satisfactory product in general. Like, that would, I don't even want to think about it. But luckily, they delayed it. Here we are. It's March 20th. This bad boy's going to roll out. And all of the people that we've seen that actually get to play it early, so like the G-Man and Spud Hunter both come to mind. They were putting out these incredible looking videos with a lot of good commentary. And one of the big things that just stuck out to me immediately, I think G-Man pointed this out, was that there are like these weird platforming sections. Like you have some parkour type shit going on where you're like grabbing these bars that stick out and you swing on them, and then you like apparently here in hell where the game's taking place, they've built these arbitrary platforms just for you to hop on in their thing. And so I listened to, I believe it was Hugo over on the No Clip podcast, and he was talking about like, well, we wanted the game to embrace being a video game. Cool. Nothing wrong with that. I get that. That's, I get that. But then there's this other school of thought where it's like we take Doom really seriously and we want it to make everything to make sense. Not that anything in Doom ever made sense. I don't know why that sentiment really has to exist, but it does. So I know a lot of people are turned off by that. Me personally, I'm going to let it happen. I'm just going to let's just see how it goes. My biggest thing is I don't really care one way or the other if it makes sense. I just want it to feel good when I'm doing it. If I get that feeling of like, it never feels like there's a lull. It doesn't feel like the game's fucking me. It needs to feel like I fucked up at the game. Like that's what I want out of it. So if the platforming works, cool. It's just a matter of, it's kind of like comedy. It's like, you can say whatever you want in a joke, no matter how offensive, in my opinion, as long as it's funny, because if it's not funny and it's offensive, then you're an asshole. Like, that's kind of the way it goes down. You got to make me laugh. And Doom has got to make me feel that amazing, dominant feeling of joy that I get out of a Doom game. It's a very tight, high wire for these guys to walk on. And they are, but we've seen more and more of this. Spud Hunter had a lot of cool stuff to say about it. I recommend go check out G-Man and Spud Hunter over on YouTube and watch some of their reviews and their gameplay and everything. Just amazing stuff. But sometimes I get scared that, like, yeah, but so they had to sign these agreements, like, yeah, go to whatever it was, Bethesda headquarters in Sydney, and sit down in a closed room, probably sign a bunch of non-disclosure agreements, or whatever, and then get to play the game. And I don't know, like, A, are they seeing the game through rose-colored glasses, like, because it's this new awesome thing, or not? But generally, these are guys that I trust. Like, it's just a hard determination to make. I'm just speculating. But I got that initial feeling, like, what if they had to say something good? Like, what if they're wrong? What if the final product is different than what they showed us, or whatever? But G-Man had nothing but hype. He was just like, yo, we're looking at a game that is going to fundamentally change first-person shooters. Like, he compared it to, like, when Half-Life hit, you know, like the shift in the way that games worked at that point, or when Quake came out, or when Unreal came out. These are paradigm shifts in the world of gaming. And if this game really does just hit all the marks like that, like he says, then I'm so I'm ecstatic to play it. It's nothing but good business for me. If a Doom game comes out and is successful, I'm not in any way trying to be a naysayer whatsoever, but I do have my reservations, and that's just, it is what it is. But Civi was doing like some replays of all the Doom games and talking about, you know, what we're kind of comparing Doom 2016 to what we've seen of Doom Eternal. Seems like his good point that I'm going to reiterate here is that it looks like there's going to be a lot more like cutscene type shit. You're going to be out of body experience, a la Doom 3 with the Doomslayer, and they're really going to get into that or whatever. But if they do that, if there are these crazy cutscenes, hear me out, because I know everybody's going to be, all the real Doom fundamentalists are going to be like, oh, I don't want that shit. If they are true, honest to goodness, like Witcher 3 style cutscenes or like Wolfenstein style cutscenes, most likely you can just skip right past it, and just if you choose to play the game the way you want to, you can just skip that shit and it would never have mattered in the first place. You don't have to. You don't have to deal with it. Dope. If that's the case, then dope. If not, I'm willing to accept some cutscenes. I like the Wolfenstein games. I enjoy a nice little bit of a cinematic experience. Not that I want them to take it out of my hands in any way, but I can accept it if that's what it is. I don't know if that's going to turn out to be the best Doom game if that's the case, but I mean, whatever. We'll see what happens. I definitely trust id Software, and I trust those guys to make, at the very least, an amazing game. Whether or not it's a quote-unquote good Doom game, that's going to be up to the masses and not up to me. I'm fully expecting to enjoy the shit out of it. But Hugo's been doing a lot of different podcasts. He was on, like I said, No Clip. He was on IGN, which is, I don't think I actually listened to the IGN one yet, but you know, whatever. And then most notably, he was on the Joe Rogan Experience. Now, I'm personally, like, I'm doing a podcast. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Joe Rogan. Like, I listen to all the time. He's like my Howard Stern. I'm sure some of you guys out there can relate to that. But Joe, notoriously a big Quake guy. Like, back in the day, he was very much into Quake 1 and Quake 3 and everything. And then most recently, like, there was a lot of hype around him. Like, oh, Joe Rogan's playing Quake Champions. And this is one where you can actually kind of hear how, all due respect, how somewhat out of touch with the greater community of these games that Joe may be. And that's not a criticism. It's actually good that he's out there doing everything else and making millions of dollars and doing anything but worry about these games all day. But yeah, like his opinions on like Quake Champions is the best Quake. Okay, I don't know about all that, Joe, but I like it. And in fact, to a brief tangent here, I think when this PTS comes out, Quake Champions will be in the best shape that it has ever been in. But that said, it's got a long way to roll, especially with Diabolical coming up right now. Like, Quake Champions better turn up it better turn it up to 11 right now if it wants to, like, keep me around. I've already been so distanced from it in general. But a lot of the conversation that went on was, Hugo and Joe talking about that. And Joe also pointed out, like, Hugo, why the fuck isn't there like a 1v1 deathmatch type situation? Don't you know that's what Doom players really want? And yeah, that's what I want. I wanted there to be like a proper multiplayer mode, and it sucked because like there's a few moments where it seemed like Joe was telling Hugo, like, it sounds like you're a little bit coached here, like you're trying to defend the company or whatever, which is good, man. Hugo's got to get paid, dog. I'm cool. Like, if I was working at id Software, I'd probably do whatever the fuck they told me to keep that job because it sounds incredible. But there are little things that I'm not accusing him of being inauthentic, but it felt a little inauthentic when he would say stuff about like, oh, well, we didn't feel like we needed that because we have Quake Champions if you want to play that kind of thing. Or like, we just thought it was, it's time to do something that really complements the gameplay of this game. Like, yeah, but we, as Doom fans, we want deathmatch like that. We definitely want that. And he also defended like the Doom 2016 multiplayer mode was like, oh, it was really competent and all this shit. Like, no, it wasn't. Doom, everybody knows this. Doom 2016's multiplayer, like, it has its pros, but as an arena shooter, it ain't even close. It's below some of the like lowest on my list indie games as far as like my interest level in playing it is. It was actually gross at QuakeCon to watch them force it into the limelight. Let's talk to Plague TV at some point, but he was casting it. And I was like, yo, Plague, you got stuck casting the Doom shit. And he's like, yeah, I'm just making it up as I go because no one fucking cared about the Doom 2016's multiplayer at any point. So I didn't like hearing him try to defend that. Like, just call a spade, man. And if they're not into doing a multiplayer thing, if they just don't want to do the PvP deal like that, just come out and say it. Like, we don't feel like that's part of it. Because I'm totally fine with it just being an awesome single-player game. No problem whatsoever. But I really don't know how I feel about this whole situation with the, 2 monsters versus 1 Doomslayer deal. I'm going to try it. I might have a blast. This might be the next big fucking esport for all I know. It could be Doom Battle Mode might be the esport that ends all things. I highly doubt it, but hey, we'll see what happens, dude. It's just it was a weird conversation, but overall I was really impressed with just Hugo's prowess, and obviously his resume speaks for itself. There were a few other things that kind of come up with him that, like, he plays on a controller. Like, oh, I don't care. I don't give a fuck, man. If that's how he plays games and that's how he likes it, cool. But I know that's like one of those, like, if we were as the Doom community, right? Like, I sat down with the real OG Doom people, players and everything, and I've had a few of them on the podcast, and we were like, let's make a resume for who should design the next Doom game. And some guy walked into that job interview and said, like, oh, I love Doom and everything about that. And they're like, cool. Okay, what kind of mouse and keyboard do you play on or whatever? And they're like, oh, I use an Xbox 360 controller. I could definitely see some eyebrows going up in that conversation. Like, oh, huh? But I don't care. There's a thing about it, though, is like, he has this resume of, like, he was a car engineer, I believe, before he became a game designer. And then, lo and behold, Doom 2016 speaks for itself. If you put that on his resume, then all is forgiven. But just some weird shit going on, and I'm really interested to see, because it's like a sophomore album. It's like a rock band putting out their second album. Like, the first album came out, and I really love the early stuff, dude, but then they kind of got crazy and wild. And we have, like, the different color scheme going on. It seems a little, in my opinion, a little bit more cartoonish of a game, which is fine. Like, Doom 2, if we all remember, was a little bit crazier than Doom 1, a little zany, and that's cool. I like that. I believe he actually made the comparison to Evil Dead a lot perfect. Fine with me. I'm 100% in on that. And it also seems like it's going to be a little bit faster with Doom Eternal than it was with Doom 2016. They've corrected that. Fantastic. We've got the chainsaw coming back. We've got, all the fantastic weapons. We've got a lot of enemies making a return. And I believe they're debuting a new enemy that is, I don't know why this was super relevant, but I believe it was the quote unquote first female demon. I'm like, I didn't even know demons had genders, but hey, whatever. I'm glad people are into that if they are, whatevs. And I don't know. Overall, I guess what I'm trying to say is that I think that we have to accept that this game is going into the forefront. It's stepping into a new generation of game players they just want certain things. And I'm one of them. Yeah, I'm not old. I'm not one of you old people. I'm a young dude, relatively, compared to a lot of doomer, boomer people, or whatever the fuck you want to call yourselves. But then again, I feel like I'm on that bridge gap. Like I'm amongst everyone here. I can see both sides of the argument. So we're looking at Doom, and we have like this generational difference between the people who want Doom to just be the same thing it's always been. Then we have other people who really want to play a new, fresh experience within the realm of Doom and everything, and that's cool. But what I think is important to note is that the people who are already just 100% in on this, the people like me, the people like, I don't know, my buddies Violent Heart and Spaced, and all the people who have already pre-ordered the game and have money to just throw at it. Like, we see the name Doom and we like lose our minds. Oh God, I want that so bad. Fantastic. But the people they're trying to sell this game to are the people who otherwise wouldn't have been into it. Like they want, it happens with everything. Like, it happened with the WWE, where, it used to be this awesome thing just for wrestling fans, and it was, turned up to 11. And then over time they realized, like, well, we want to get that crowd of, younger people into it. So let's tone it down and let's make it a little more PG. And eventually we just ended up with a garbage that I don't want to watch. But the point is that they want to bring in the crowd of people who wouldn't play Doom into Doom, because the people who would play Doom are already guaranteed customers for the most part. You just don't want to get to that point where you've alienated your core audience. And I really, based on everything up to now, I really don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to just knock it straight out of the park with this one. Like, everything seems great, but that is an important thing to keep in mind for you guys who are kind of like, oh, I don't like the cutscenes, I don't like that, blah, blah, blah. They've got to get a new generation of people to buy this game, and that's great. If Bethesda fucks Doom up with all this hype and everything behind it, like, what else have they got? They've fucked up Quake to some extent. They shit the bed with Fallout. Doom is right here, and then they got Elder Scrolls 6 or whatever. If they fuck up Doom, they better like just kill it without Elder Scrolls Cell or whatever, because it's like they've got a bad thing going on with Bethesda anyway. But like, luckily we can depend on id, right? Luckily we have these wonderful, amazing people over at id Software that we can depend on, right? So that is what I'm really focused on, is like, I really just want this game to come out and just blow us all away, and we'll all have a great time. So with that said, they have like several different ways of trying to sell it to us. They have the cool cinematic shit going on, the trailers and everything. They've done a great job, I think, of going straight to the YouTubers and the podcasters and the people who actually... the people who are into this kind of game already, like, they've nailed that right down. They've sent everybody all the right stuff, all the right messages. Everything's been great as far as that's concerned. But they also is like, hey, let's do this pre-order package. If you pre-order it, we'll give you this awesome port of Doom 64, which honestly, man, that justifies the purchase to me alone. Like, I know you could already play Doom 64 and everything. There's been like the PC port and all that kind of shit. But the reality of it is, like, I want a proper, modern, full-on, no bullshit, in my Steam library port. Here it is. and I have it on good authority that it's going to be really fantastic. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's Sam Villarreal, the Kex Engine folks over at Night Dive Studios that put this one together, and there's nobody in the business better at refurbishing games than the guys over at Night Dive. If you don't know who I'm talking about there, Steve Kick is the CEO there. He's been around since, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe Rise of the Triad 2013 kind of stuff, like that whole circle with Fred and with Dave Oshry and all those guys. And they're working on the big System Shock remake, which apparently has been halted, if I'm not mistaken, or they fired the team. I'm not sure. I'd really like to get more news on that, which will be for a separate podcast, but we can definitely depend on Doom 64 kicking ass. No way around it. So that alone, even if this game comes out and sucks, I feel pretty comfortable saying like, hey, I got my money's worth out of it, or at least some of my $60 out of it with that pre-purchase for Doom 64. That said, they also have the $90 package, the deluxe edition or whatever the fuck, and that kind of disturbs me. I know why, because they can guarantee themselves more money, and that's, smart business decision and all that shit. That's not what I really want. I want to just pay my money and get my game and be done with the transaction after that. But the $90 purchase, you pay for it now, and then you get guaranteed, quote, a year's worth of DLC, and I think that's supposed to be 2 DLCs. Man, I don't know how I feel about that shit. Why does it got to be a year? Why do you got to put a time frame on it? Because, what if you delay it? I'm sure they'll do right by us, blah, blah, blah. But I just wish it was just here you go. Here's the game, good to go. And then no more worrying about it. But they do throw in some perks. And some people are into, they classic skins and, the old school Doom sounds or whatever the fuck. I don't care about any of that shit. I don't care about cosmetics. I don't want it to sound like an old Doom game. I'm fine with the new Doom game sounding like a new Doom game. That's actually what I want, is something new. But hey, if that's worth an extra $30 to you, go grab it. Sweet, whatever. And I don't know, that's pretty much all we have right now. It's just this weird guarantee system where we'll give you something else or later on. I don't know. It's strange. I don't really have any well thought out commentary to give on that, other than I wish I could just comfortably buy the game and be done with it. Maybe I will have. Maybe my $60 pre-order will be completely justified, and I will feel like I got my money's worth out of it, and I'll pick up the DLCs if they come out later and they're great. But I wish it was all just one slick package. DLCs are weird. The Witcher 3's DLCs were really cool, but even that, I played it after the fact. I didn't buy Witcher 3 when it came out and then just sit around waiting on a DLC and I gotta get the new DLC or whatever. Hopefully it's something akin to that. Hopefully they, I don't know, get it right. But that's pretty much all I got though, man. Is it gonna be worth the money? I hope so. I don't really have anything else to say about Doom Eternal other than I'm super, super excited about it. I can't wait for it. I have all these feelings going on and these crazy thoughts that are keeping me up at night about one way or the other. And hey, if you guys have any thoughts and you want to hit it up, come on, comment in the YouTube comments or comment on whatever podcast directory you're listening on. Hit me up on Twitter @InTheKeep. Just whatever, man. Let's keep the dialogue going. Get in the Discord, #Doom, and just talk it up. #FuckYou Violent Heart Doom, specifically to talk about the newer Dooms. Don't ask why it's called that. That's just the name of the channel. But really looking forward to hearing what your guys' feedback, thoughts. If you like content like this, if you want to hear more of these just me rambling for a period of time type episodes, let me know. And if you never want to hear this again, just let me know that also, and I won't do it. But I thought it'd be fun, and I thought it'd be interesting to just kind of lay it out there. Let's talk about one of these games that I'm not realistically getting anybody from the dev team on anytime soon. But hey, if you guys do what I asked you in the first part of the episode, if we all come together, we pay it forward, we subscribe, we share everything, we all just commit to doing that, then the world would be a better place, and maybe we'll get to that point at some point in the future. Otherwise, guys, much love. I love you all. The Drowned God Cathala loves you all. Take care and have a fantastic time waiting for Doom Eternal. Till next time, stay in the keep.